Hello, Stream. When was the last time that you heard someone call something idealistic, but mean it like a good thing? I was called idealistic recently, and what they really meant was they thought I was naive. And I'm not going to lie, a bit of me was a bit crushed. But it got me asking this question: why is it that we assume that being idealistic isn't a good thing? So I'm a scientist, and we're trained in science to go out, find problems, and then find ways of fixing them. And there are a whole load of big issues out there, aren't there? Whether it's education, justice, the climate, healthcare. They are all big, complex challenges. They are rapidly evolving. They do not stand still, and they do not respect national borders. And I think there's lots of reasons why we're not making the progress that we'd like to in those. And I think one of them is that we take these really big, complex issues, we break them down into these very small, discernible pieces, and we try and fix each one of those incrementally, one at a time, rather than taking a big picture approach. So it's a little bit like having the most crazy, complex travel manifest and just tweaking a little bit around the edges, rather than thinking about, well, actually, do we need a whole new mode of transport, or do we actually need to reimagine where we're trying to get to? And it's in this kind of context that I see in science that we are using this word, idealistic, to dismiss something and to move on. And that is a huge problem. When we do that, we lose our creativity and our imagination. And when we do that, we start to focus way more on inputs rather than outcomes, and our tolerance for risk just goes through the floor. Let me give you an example of my world. So as a scientist, to do great science, we need to win research grants. And we've got to the point now where we measure the excellence of the scientist by the number of grants that they've won over and above the science that they've actually done. And we're human, we study for the test. We do everything we can to up that hit rate. But we are not going to change the world, and we are not going to make the breakthroughs we need if we keep on popping that champagne cork when we win the research grant, rather than when we make that amazing finding that's actually going to change things on the ground. We're also not going to change the world and make the breakthroughs that we need if we perpetuate a system that doesn't incentivize risk-taking. So in the science world, that means that essentially we have to guarantee the funders what our findings are going to be, when we're going to find them, before we've undertaken our first experiment. We are going to make the breakthroughs we need if we can recapture the power of idealism. And I'm guessing it's not just in science that that's the case. I think we're at a crossroads. I think that after the last 3 years, the status quo has been shaken up unimaginably. We are living through a digital transformation. And that means that if we're brave enough and bold enough, we have got the opportunity to imagine the solutions we need outside of those normal infrastructures and the structures that we're used to working within. And we can do that far more collectively than we've ever been able to before. So yes, great insights from science and engineering, but there's also amazing insights from the arts and humanities, and so much wisdom out there in industry and business. So we need to recapture idealism now. If we don't, we're going to be perpetually on the edges, tweaking of those complex challenges. But if we do recapture it, if we can celebrate and encourage idealism, we are going to create those opportunities to ask those questions, those amazing questions that start with, what if? Thank you.